And she said, oh, you're looking up at the clouds. And I said, no, I'm amongst the clouds. And all I could think was, oh, have I died already? Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning back in, or if you are new and just stumbling across this video, hello, my name is Katrina. Thank you so much for watching. Today I'm just having a bit of a sit down video with you guys, and I am chatting to you about something that is very new to me and something I experienced just days ago, and lots of people have wanted to know about it and what my experience was like, and that is past life regression. I never really thought much into like reincarnation and past lives and all that sort of stuff. I read about it once in a book and I thought it was really interesting, but apart from that, I never really believed in it. I don't really know what I believed in. And anyway, I started reading this book after both my parents have read it, and they asked me to read it because they were like, it's incredible, it'll blow your mind, you have to read it. It's called Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. He's a New York psychotherapist, I think that's what he is. And he basically started treating this lady for her anxieties and fears and depression and all that sort of stuff. And he used a form of hypnosis, which therapists and stuff often use to go back to childhood traumas and just finding those memories. Except with this patient, she went to her childhood and then all of a sudden she found herself like in a past life. She was like recalling memories from past lives, and she went through heaps of them. I think she had 86 lives in total, I think, and it was just the most phenomenal book. And him, like working in the health and science field, I guess, he was like, what the heck is going on? There's no evidence here, nothing makes sense, and yet he kept treating this lady, and yeah, it was just, you have to read it. It is phenomenal. He's got heaps of other books as well. There's one about how he's treating 2 patients at once, and turns out they're actually soulmates, and they're talking about each other in their past lives, and they don't even know who they are, but they're soulmates. Oh my god, it's mind-blowing. I think I'm gonna read that one next. Actually, I think I'm gonna read Miracles Happen. Anyway, after reading this book, my mother did her research and actually found a lady who was trained by Dr. Brian Weiss, the author of the book. And she was actually quite local, and so Mum went and saw her and got a past life regression done. And hers was very interesting. I'm not gonna get into detail because like that's private, I guess. But once I listened to the recording of her session, I was like, oh my god, book me in. It was originally just going to be a birthday present in July, but I was way too impatient, and so I just went ahead and booked, and I went on Monday. So once I got there, the lady was super nice. Her name's Susan McLachlan. She's from Past Lives, Future Lives and Beyond. That's her Facebook page, and I just booked by messaging her on Facebook. But her business card that she gave me says Past Life Adventures. So I'm not sure, but search up the Facebook page and you can get in contact with her if you're in the Brisbane area. So she was so lovely, so calming, so just comfortable, and I was a nervous wreck. I was so nervous, and I don't even know why I was so nervous. It's just that I had never been hypnotized or anything before, so I was just, I think it was just like the fear of the unknown, like not knowing what it's going to be like, not knowing what I'm going to see, what I might not see, what if I can't do it, what if I can't relax properly. I'm a very stressed person, and so yeah, it was very, yeah, for me it was just really nerve-wracking, but she really calmed me down really quickly, so that was good. So the first thing that she told me was that hypnosis is actually something that we all do in our everyday lives. So it's basically that state between a dream and when you're awake, and you're kind of like watching, and you're conscious but you're still in your dream, you know, like you're watching it and you're observing and you're starting to think more rather than just being in the dream, if that makes sense. And so yeah, it's just kind of that in-between state where you're really relaxed but your attention is somewhere else. She also gave an example of it being when you're driving and all of a sudden you reach your destination and you don't remember the whole drive, and it's because you were envisioning somewhere else or something else. You were remembering something, you were, you know, just thinking of something else and, you know, envisioning it in front of you, and you weren't actually observing what was around you. So you can literally be like hypnotized while driving, which is kind of scary. So I thought that was really fascinating because I'm a big daydreamer and so I do that a lot. And I was like, oh my god, I'm like hypnotized as I'm driving. That is bad. perfect. So basically what happened is I sat down in a lovely reclined chair and footstool, and she put on some music and she was just talking me through what we were going to do. And so it was basically just a really deep meditation. I'm not usually very good at meditations. I get very distracted very quickly, but I found, I don't know if it's the music or just like what she was saying to me about how, you know, you're going to hear other things, but you're not going to be distracted by them. You're not going to care about them. You're only tuning into my voice and that's it. And it was just like, oh yeah, okay, nothing matters. I am listening to you and that's it. I found it really hard at first because I kept analysing and thinking, you know, come on girl, you got this. And then I was like, oh, I'm not relaxing enough. I can't envision the light throughout my whole body. I can only see it in front of me. Am I doing it wrong? Am I even going to be able to do this? And so I was kind of like stressing myself out the whole time. As I said, I am a very stressed person. So I found it hard to kind of relax in the beginning, but eventually things just started happening and I just felt in it. It was strange. You know, she does the whole counting down and all that sort of stuff, and she paints pictures for you and you just have to envision it. Even if you can't necessarily see it, you can kind of feel it, or like everyone feels it or sees it in different ways. For me, a lot of it was I'd have a thought about something. Something would come into my mind, like a thought, and then as I confirmed it, it would become visible. It was really strange. Anyway, I'll get to that. So once we got, oh sorry, my chair is really squeaky. So once we got into that deep meditative state, my eyes were twitching a lot. It was so strange. And she said that it was because I got into REM sleep really quickly, where like your eyes are like flickering around when you dream. And apparently it was like the most intense she's ever seen it. So that was hilarious and concerning. And so once I'd reached that deep meditative state, she told me to visit a childhood memory. So I did, and it was a lovely memory at my Nana and Pop's house, and it was really simple, like probably something that happened, you know, so many times that I just kind of merged it all into one basic memory. I would have been, I don't know, maybe like 4 or something in the memory. I can't even tell you an age, but really, really young. And it was just a happy memory, and that was cool. And then she said, all right, we're going to go further back. We're going to go to your birth. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. And at first it was really strange. It was kind of like I could see like a bit of a hole opening. I couldn't see a whole lot, but I could feel things. I got really sweaty hands and I got really like nervous and panicked inside. And it was strange because I actually brought my mum along because I was so nervous about it, and she had already done it. So I was like, Mum, you can sit to the corner and you can observe and stuff. And I think I kind of felt a little self-conscious that she was there, even though I was in this really relaxed state. I was still able to think and stuff. So I think I just felt I felt really weird, and I don't know if it's because my mum was right there and it was like the birth including her. It was really weird. Anyway, I felt really stressed because the way that I was delivered, I was very stressed and eating my own number 2, and so my heart rate went up, and they ended up delivering me via C-section 9 days early. I think 9 days, either 6 or 9 days. I think it's 9. So that ended up being quite a traumatic kind of memory in itself. Like the way that I entered the world was already very panicked, and so I just remember the really sweaty hands and just being like, ugh, I don't like this. Someone's touching me. Like, I'm not ready to come out yet, but I'm really stressed and I'm just, ugh. I don't know. It was very strange. And then she said, it's okay. They've taken you out now and you're with your mother now. Do you feel her love? She said something like that. And I just immediately started crying, and it was the weirdest cry because, you know, when you cry and your heart like sinks when you cry, like you can feel the ache in your heart. I didn't have that part, but this was going, and it was so strange. It was just like all of a sudden it was just like I had to relieve myself with the tears, and then it's like, okay, and I could tell that she was a bit like, oh, like you're crying already. I did tell her I was quite an emotional person, but you know, it was funny. Well, I thought it was funny, but it was also emotional at the time. So that was the birth, and I was crying. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna take you over a bridge, and it's all foggy and misty, and the mist is going to lift, and you're gonna end up at your destination, at the life that you're meant to visit right now. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be strange, because you don't know what to expect. You don't know if you're gonna see anything. Like, I didn't really see a whole lot in the birth one, and so I was like, I don't know. Like, is that just purely because I was like in a womb? Like, I couldn't see anything, or were my eyes shut? Like, I don't know. So I was a bit nervous going into the past life one, which is funny because I was also very relaxed, I was in a deep meditation, but I was still nervous as well. Anyway, I got in there and I started to feel better, and all I could see at first, because you have to envision this light, right? And I felt like that was like the source of where all my thoughts came from. And my light was blue. It can be any colour, but mine just happened to be blue. My mum's was purple. So all I could see was this blue light in front of me. It was beautiful. It was a healing, beautiful blue light. And she was saying, like, look down at yourself, look at yourself. Who are you? What do you look like? And I was like, I can't see myself. All I could see was just like an outline of like a dark short hairstyle, like in front of me. And I was like, I have dark short hair. I'm a boy. And yeah, it's just like you have to remember that whatever thoughts you have are right. Like, there is no right and wrong. And I think when I'm seeing a picture of a hairstyle, like literally like a cartoon of spiky hair, and I was like, this can't be right. But it was, because, oh, everything else just kept going. So don't you worry, I was definitely a boy. And so I saw that hairstyle and I was like, okay, I'm a boy. And I kind of looked down and all I could think of was I have like shorts that are made of like a potato sack. Like, it just looked like a potato sack, but shorts. And so I was like, I think, yeah, I'm definitely a boy, I'm young. And then all I could see was trees. I could only see from the top of the trees, like this. Like, I was looking up and the sun beaming through, and I was like, oh, all I can see is trees. And I was a bit nervous because I was like, I can't really see anything around me. Like, I can't see the body of the tree, I can only see the top of them. And it wasn't until I started actually physically moving my head around that I started to see more. And I found that so strange, but it helped. So if you ever do this and you can't seem to see anything except up, maybe try and move your head around and it might help. So once I saw all the trees, I think the next thought I had was rocks, little rocks, like a pile of little rocks. And it didn't seem like a cliff or anything like that. I was in a forest and I was throwing rocks. I was playing with rocks. That's all I could think of. And then all of a sudden I kind of like looked to the right and I could just, again, it's like a thought. You just think of something. It's like something, like, it's like your voice in your head just tells you something and you're like, oh, okay, I'll say that. And then as you say that, it becomes visible. It's so strange, but it may also happen completely different to you. So, yeah, so I saw over to the right, there was a tin shed type of house and it had a really flat tin roof and it was nothing fancy, nothing exciting. And she said, oh, is there, who lives in the house with you? And I just said, my mum does. And so she was like, okay, can you go into the house? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I went into the house and I could see this tall, slender woman. She had like a bit of an apron on and dark hair, and she was cooking in a big pot in the kitchen. And like she was churning butter or something. And I couldn't smell anything, I couldn't hear anything, I could just see things. And more so I could see around me. I couldn't really see myself except for that thought of the shorts, and then when I had that picture of the haircut, it was really strange. But I could see this woman and I was like, that's my mother, I know that. And she said, where's your father? And I said, I don't know, I think he's gone away. And she said, oh, okay, do you know where he's gone? And I said, well, I think he's supposed to come back, but he's gone away, and I think he's gone to fight. And she's like, oh, okay. And she said, you're quite young, so you probably haven't been told exactly where he is or what's happening. And I was like, yeah, okay, probably. And it sounded strange that he'd gone away to fight, because it seemed like such a peaceful, beautiful environment. Like, it was just in a forest, the sun beaming through. Like, if I could hear anything, it would be birds chirping, you know. It was really serene. Something tells me that it was kind of like by a river, but still a little bit of distance between that. And so yeah, that was pretty much that memory. And then she said, okay, we're going to take you forward to the next momentous memory. And she counted me down. I think she counted me down. I haven't listened to my recording because I really wanted it recorded, but now, like, I remember it a certain way. I don't want to hear it. I don't know. I'll want to listen to it one day, but maybe just not yet. And so once she got down to number 1 of the countdown, all I could see was clouds. I was like, all I can see is clouds. And she said, oh, you're looking up at the clouds. And I said, no, I'm amongst the clouds. And all I could think was, oh, have I died already? Like, Jesus, that wasn't very momentous. And then I started to realize I was moving through the clouds, like as if I was doing this. And I was like, I think I'm flying through the clouds. And it's not like I could see, you know, my hands in front of me or a plane or anything. It was just like I was moving. I could see the clouds parting, like I was moving through the clouds. And I said, I think I'm flying. I think I'm the pilot. I'm flying the plane. I said, it's just a small plane. It's not a big, you know, like commercial airline plane. It was just a very small plane, and something was telling me it was brown, it was small, and it was just me in there. There was no one else there. It was just me flying in this plane. Oh, my seat. And so as I was flying, I felt pretty relaxed. I didn't feel nervous or anything until she asked me to land the plane, and I said, I don't think I can do that. And she said, it's okay, you can land the plane. And I started getting really nervous, and I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. And she said, is it dangerous down there? And I said, I don't think so. That's the thing, like, the mindset that I was in was like, I am fine. And then she said, okay, well, what you can do is you can take yourself out of the body and you can go up above and watch the scene, and then you can land the plane. That way you're a little more detached from it. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll do that then, I guess. And I don't necessarily remember watching the plane go down and land. I remember telling her that it was scary to land the plane because it goes so fast. I remember saying that. But yeah, anyway, I was watching, I don't remember watching it land, but it was just like, next thing you know, it's landed, I'm safe. Like, that's all I knew. And she was like, are you okay? I'm like, yep, I'm fine. And she's like, okay, we're gonna go to the day of your death now. And she counted me down. And as soon as she got to number 1, immediately I saw 3 people around me. They were just big black hazy shadows, people around me. And I was scared. I had been like resting just with my hands down underneath my bust and just on the top of my stomach, I guess. And I immediately, as soon as I saw these heads, like these people, I was just like this. I could remember doing this. I was like, oh, I don't feel good about this. I didn't know who those people were. I knew that. And I said, because I was like, am I old? Am I young? I don't know. Like, are they my family? But I was like, no, I don't know who they are. I don't know them. And I don't have any family. That's what I said, that I don't have any family. I never had any family. I didn't marry or anything. And I just had this strange feeling. It felt like I was in a hospital or something and people were looking over me, you know? Except it didn't feel like a hospital. It felt, I don't know, they were definitely like operating on me. That's what I could tell. I was like, I think they're performing surgery on me, but I'm awake. I can see them. And she was like, oh, okay, actually I don't even know what she said next. I should listen to the recording. But I just remember feeling extremely like squirmish and horrible. I also was busting to go to the toilet, and I was so annoyed at myself because I literally went like maybe 20 minutes before the session started. And so I ended up saying to her, I was like, I need to go to the toilet, like I'm busting. And she was like, okay, that's all right, we'll wake you up soon. And so, and so she then took me out of that memory, and because it felt like they were performing something, or like, you know, stitching me up or something on my stomach. That's what it felt like. And it didn't feel exactly like a nice, you know, like a hospital where everything's nice and sterile and, you know, like everyone's caring for you and all that sort of stuff. It was like, come on, we need to get this done type of thing. Like I was obviously about to die. It was the day of my death. And yeah, and she woke me up. Well, no, she took me out of that memory and she said, what do you think you learnt from that life? And I think I was so distracted by the fact that I really had to go to the toilet all of a sudden. And I think I said something like, you can have a pretty relaxing and lovely life, but then the last day can be very stressful. But then I think I said that you can't always get what you want or something like that. Like you can't always just have everything to please you. You then have to, you know, endure some hardships or something, even if it's the last day. I don't think I said that many words, but that's how I'm interpreting what I was trying to say. And honestly, I don't know if that's really the lesson that I was supposed to learn. I don't know, but yeah, then she woke me up and I went to the toilet, and I heard her saying to my mum that sometimes when people get really stressed, and like obviously I was in a pretty traumatic situation, I didn't feel any pain or anything, but I felt really uncomfortable, really overwhelmed, and like squirm, just like that. And so she was saying that often when people get really stressed, that all of a sudden you can need to go to the toilet. And it was like the biggest urge. Like I could have wet myself if I stayed there maybe a minute longer. It was really intense, and I was like, this is horrible, because now I don't get to, you know, explore any more from that life, because we're taking me out of it now, and it's because my body is freaking out. And then I was talking to my friend about it later, and he was saying, well, you know, like you think about it, when people get scared and stuff, they wet themselves. And I was like, oh my god, that makes sense. Like, yeah, it must be like a stress thing. All of a sudden you need to go to the toilet. Anyway, afterwards, after I came back from the toilet, we had a chat. And she said it sounded like it was wartime, and I followed in my father's footsteps being a soldier, which is why I never had a family of my own, which is why I was a pilot in a little brown plane. And she said it sounds like I probably crashed my plane at the end, and they were operating on me in a field hospital before they could get me to a proper hospital. And in the field hospital, like, I mean, back then they didn't have any anesthetic or anything, so they would give you alcohol, which also would explain why it was quite hazy. And they'd give you alcohol and they'd stitch you up. And obviously I just died in that situation instead. So yeah, it all made sense when she said that, because I mean, I don't know anything about field hospitals or anything. And then when I was talking to my dad later about it, he was like, oh yeah, field hospital, of course. And I'm like, okay. So that all made sense. Found it funny. Oh my god, I didn't even tell you guys. Okay, so my mother in that life was not my mother from this life. It was my nana from this life. I knew that. It didn't look like her at all. She's quite short and has lighter hair, and you know, she's not tall and slender and dark hair. But if anything, she kind of looked like my nana's mum, but even taller and a bit more European. I think I was in Europe somewhere. It didn't feel like Australia at all. The trees were just too tall and beautiful to be in Australia. I mean, we have beautiful tall trees. Anyway, it was different. They say that souls often travel through lives together. And it's because of karma, and they owe debts to each other. And it's not things like, you owe me 50 bucks, so I'm coming back in this lifetime to get my 50 bucks off you. It's things like, I need to tell you something in this lifetime. You know, I need to tell you something about someone in this lifetime. That's the information that you need from me for this one. Or, you know, just something like that. And I mean, there's so much more to all of it. Like when I first saw the 3 people in front of me, I thought they were the masters, which you need to read the book to understand that. But the masters are kind of like the spirit gods, I guess, that you reach at the end of your death and of your lifetime, and they, you know, tell you what you were supposed to learn, and they question you and stuff, and then you make the agreement for the next lifetime and where you're going next. A lot of this may sound pretty cuckoo to a lot of you, especially if you've never really even looked into anything like this. And at first when I was reading about it, I was like, this is interesting. But the more I read into it, the more I was like, oh my god, it kind of makes sense. And you know, even if somehow none of this is real, I feel so much better. I feel lighter, and I like to have faith in something because it eliminates my fear of death, which I'll get to all of that as well, actually. It just makes me feel better, and it makes me feel a little more, I want to say in control, except I'm not in control as such, but it makes me just feel better about like just what happens after this lifetime, and more so the fact that we're like eternal beings. We're not, I mean, if you think about it, like energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed, right? So this body, it may physically crumble, but like your essence, your soul, like, you know, there's something there, and that something is not found in an organ or, you know, a muscle or anything. So where does that go? It has to be transformed. And so whether it just turns into a light or a spirit or something, or if it goes into another body. And you hear so many of those stories about like near-death experiences and, you know, people coming back to life, and they all seem to say really similar things about how, like, you know, their body floated up above the scene and they watched down. So it's really fascinating. You need to read the book, and then you need to read all of these books, which is what I'm working on now. Now, I forgot to say, because there's just so much information running through my brain at the moment, she asked me what I wanted to get out of the session, and I said, look, I am always stressed. I don't know why, but like, you know, I'm just, I don't see it as anxiety, because I can feel anxious at things like, you know, having to audition for something or getting up and singing or something. Like, I get the anxiety then, you know, like just normal like nervousness, like the butterflies in the stomach and all that sort of stuff. But I'm not in that all the time. It's just stress is like, I just have a lot of it in my body. And it's how I react to things, very stressed. And I can't always think rationally because I'm so stressed and everything's about me. And so I wanted to know why I was so stressed. And the other thing I wanted to learn about was, that's the thing, I was just going to learn more about myself and the world and anything. I just wanted to learn. So the other thing that I wanted to learn was, I've always been very fearful of having an average life, which sounds very cocky and horrible, but I've always felt destined to pursue something big, something meaningful, something that will help, you know, millions of people, if not the whole world. And I'm always stuck thinking, how the heck do I do that? Like, in what way am I supposed to do that? I'm someone who has lots of different hobbies and passions and skills, and I feel like I've just got like a limb in every box, but I can never commit to just one because I'm always wondering, what if that's the one that I'm supposed to go for? Or what if that's the path I'm supposed to take? And I never make the decision, okay? So I was wondering, what the heck is my purpose for this lifetime? And I know that your purpose could simply be to become patient, to not be stressed, you know? So those are, as much as I don't want to hear that to not be stressed could very well be my purpose in this lifetime. So those were like the aims of this, and she said that the lifetime that I go to will be the one that is most important, like the most relevant for right now, for what I want to know, and for how I'm feeling and all that sort of stuff. It's the thing that I need to know. Everything, like, it's all your destiny, you know, like what's gonna happen is gonna happen, and that's it. Like, I obviously had to go to the bathroom because my mind was saying, you don't need to see any more today. You've seen what you needed to see, and that's it. Like, that's all you were meant to see. So I wanted to know about stress, and I wanted to know about my purpose, and like fear of death. I think because the thing is, I don't want to end this lifetime not having accomplished anything big and wonderful. So it's like I have this fear of death that stresses me out as well, because I'm like, you know, there's not enough time, and, you know, days just go by so quickly, and I'm not actually working towards anything, even though I'm working towards many things, but never that one big thing, you know, and I don't know what that big thing is either, so that stresses me out. And so we definitely got to the root of the stress, because, well, I ended a lifetime in a stressful situation, you know, like that was very traumatic. And then I also, and I don't know if that was the lifetime directly before this one, but it felt kind of close-ish. I couldn't tell you the year, but it felt kind of close-ish. And, well, I entered this lifetime stressed as well. And throughout it, she made me promise to myself, my higher self, that I would no longer get stressed. Then I also got to the root of why I fear death. Well, because it was a very traumatic one that I remembered happening, you know, like, so I think that has been deeply rooted within my subconscious, and I've carried that forever, and that's why and I think also because I died quite young. I felt like I was like between 30 and 40. I never got to, you know, have a family or anything. I was just a pilot, and then I crashed my plane. So that's where I think I feel the whole like I'm running out of time thing, and you know, I'll get a tiny little pain in my stomach, which might just be like, I don't know, wind or something, and immediately I'm like, it's appendicitis, take me to the hospital. I am going to be in a lot of pain very soon, even though I'm not, and I never have been, I've never had it, but I'm so terrified of death that I'm like, prepare me now, I'm going to the hospital, even though it's literally just wind. And so those were the things that I wanted to get to the root of, and I feel like we really did. And literally as soon as I woke up, even though I had to go to the bathroom, I felt so much lighter, and I still do. I feel lighter, I feel clearer in my head, I just feel, I don't know, just like brighter. I feel like a whole weight has just been lifted off my shoulders. It's like, oh, okay, I know now, I know, and everything's okay now, you know. And that's how they kind of talk about it in the book as well, that whenever she would, the patient would visit a certain memory, then whatever was affecting her in her present life would somehow just miraculously be healed. And something else that I actually said at the end of the session was, well, I get really bad indigestion and reflux, right? And I've had it ever since, I think, 2016, because I used to eat like a punnet of cherry tomatoes at once. Like, I love them every single day. I'd have so many tomatoes. And all of a sudden I just started getting really bad reflux. And I've had to stop having so many foods. Like, I don't really have avocado, I don't have a lot of Mexican, even though I love Mexican. Ice cream often sets me off. I can't get a McFlurry from McDonald's anymore, and they are my favorite. But I just end up in so much pain that I want to go to the hospital, because I'm actually like legitimately in so much pain, feel like I can't breathe. And it's like my whole throat just like constricts, and I've got like a acid burning my throat. It's horrible. And it's just because become a part of my daily life. And I know what foods trigger it, and I know what foods are okay, and then sometimes those foods somehow trigger it as well, and it's just like, it's a hot mess, I swear. And then I had this idea at the end of the session. I was like, what if, because they were like operating on my abdomen, like on my stomach area, like that's where, you know, all your indigestion reflux stems from, your stomach. It's from the stomach acid and the lining and all that sort of stuff. I don't know a whole lot. I'm not a health professional, but it happens in your stomach. And I was like, what if this cured my indigestion and reflux? Now, I started eating some trigger foods that night because I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I want to know if it cured me. And I'd just like to say, that first night, like that whole, ever since the session through that night, didn't get anything. Next morning, all the way through to last night, didn't get anything. It was so strange because even in the mornings, I usually wake up in a lot of pain, and then I have my coffee and I'll have my first sip of coffee and I'm like, oh, this hurts, but I love coffee so much. And so then I drink another few sips and then it starts to subside. But this time I had my coffee, and it was almost like my body was trying to bring the acid up, and then something pushed it away. And I was like, what is going on? I haven't had any indigestion whatsoever. And that's like the really like tightening of the throat and pain in the chest, that sort of stuff. And the reflux is like the burn. Like, you know when you have like a baby bath, it's kind of like that at all times, and it's just burning your throat. It's on fire. And so I was very surprised when I had my coffee, and I was like, I'm drinking it in peace. And I sent her a message. I was like, so far I am okay. I'm gonna let you know how I go. And so last night I thought, okay, because I never have fizzy drinks or anything, because they, oh my god, I have one sip and I am in so much pain. I can't drink anything. That's why, like, you know, Reese will have like a cider or something with dinner, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good, but I can't have anything fizzy. Like, and if I have wine, well then that actually affects me in another way as well, which hopefully in my next session I might be able to cure, we'll see. But that wine also gives me reflux and something else. So I was like, okay, let's try a fizzy drink. So I had ginger ale and I had it with vodka, because I was like, I'm finally having some vodka again. I haven't had it in a long time. And so I had that last night. And I managed to get halfway through the glass. No pain. And then I started to get a little bit of it, but it was nowhere near what it used to be. Like, nowhere. Like, the fact that I actually got halfway through the drink feeling nothing at all, and I was like, this is it, this is crazy. And I even ate like a whole half a bag of salt and vinegar chips beforehand, so that also sets me off, but I was okay. And I was like, this is so weird, I can finally eat and drink things again. And I think because I was really testing myself by literally just having so many trigger foods, I think my body was just responding how anyone's would in that case. So yeah, like, it may not have cured me entirely, but for the most part I haven't had any indigestion. I woke up this morning again feeling really great. I've had my coffee. This is my second coffee and I'm feeling fabulous. I'm sure you can tell I am beaming. And so I am feeling great and clearer, and it's just weird because I feel like the feeling comes and then it just pushes itself down, and I'm like, why are you not going further like you usually do? So I don't know what's going on, but I've seen and heard many stories about, you know, things like, even the lady who I went and saw, she had eczema on her hand for a while and she tried every cream from the doctor and everything, and then she later found out that she had that there because she actually was the age of when she died in a past life, and it must have had something to do with her hand, and so like the wound like came up on her hand, and she was going to get rid of it by 40, and by the time she was 40 it was gone. And I was like, what So yeah, it's so interesting. All of this is so interesting, and I just feel enlightened, honestly. Like I just feel great. I feel like I have learnt so much. I've learnt a lot about myself. I've learnt a lot about others, and it's making me react to things differently. It's also making me think about things differently and think about people differently, because things like when someone is rude to you or something like that, I then think, oh, they may not have had as many lives as I have yet, and so they just haven't gotten around to learning that part yet. You know, like I consider myself quite, I've always been quite spiritual, but I've never really known exactly what I believed in. It's just I always knew there was something, and I've always been very intuitive, which I just blamed on being a Cancer. So maybe it's just that I might be an older soul and I just understand things a bit better, I guess. Not saying I'm like the smartest person or, you know, the most intellectual person. I'm just saying I'm quite intuitive, and you know, I can read people really well. Like you can ask any of my friends and family that if I have ever said that someone is a bad egg, and they later prove it and they're like, Katrina, you were right. I should have gotten rid of that person out of my life, because then they, you know, messed me over. So so I just wonder if that's the case now, and that's just how I view people. Like if they, you know, if they just react a bit differently or are rude or something, it's just like, well, maybe they haven't had enough lives yet to have learned every lesson. And like I probably haven't learned every lesson. I don't think anyone has. So I think maybe I've just had more lives so far, you know? And I think if you are even just curious about it, you should definitely read that book. It's called Many Lives, Many Masters from Dr. Brian Weiss. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Sorry if this was a really long video. I just wanted to make sure that I got all of the information, because a lot of people hear about past life regression, but they don't know where to get it done or who does it or what it's like. I would have, I mean, oh no, I would have liked to have somehow like filmed the experience, but I also would not want anyone to see it, because legitimately my eyes were like this the whole time. And it was so annoying. Oh my god, you've already seen it. Okay, well now you've seen it, so maybe I should just film it next time. You've seen it all. So, no, I probably won't. But I think in a way it's kind of still like a bit of a weird, like, sacred kind of experience, so you don't exactly want to share that. And I wouldn't want to watch myself do it, you know, like, let alone, I don't even want to listen to myself. I just want to remember it how I remember it, and, yeah, I'm definitely going to go back for more. Definitely. I've got more questions. I've got more things I want to find out. I want to learn all about myself, because, you know, just, I think it's so fascinating, and, yeah. My dad's gonna go do it next. I think he's going to someone else though. I think he found, because, you know, do your own research, find who you feel comfortable going with. I only went with this lady because my mum went, and she was trained by the author of the book, and my mum said she was so lovely, she was really great, and I was like, okay, great, like, if you liked her, I'll like her. And Dad said that he's found someone more down towards the Gold Coast area, so I think he just felt a calling to go and see them, so he's gonna go see them. I don't know who they are or what their business name is called, but yeah, so fascinating. If you guys enjoyed this, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications every time that I post, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!